back in session. Is there anything to report from closed session?
No.
All right, well, we'll move on to our first item.
Okay. Acting as a Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, your district consent matters are items 1 through 4.
Chair of the board, I'm going to ask item 1 to be pulled from the agenda for continuation.
Do we need a motion on that to pull it?
If we're going to continue it, then we need a motion. If we're just pulling it, then no.
We're continuing or postponing?
We'll bring it back at some point, but we don't know the date.
You can just pull it then.
Yeah.
Say again?
You can just pull the item.
Okay.
I'll move 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
Items 2, 3, and 4 have been moved. There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. We're on to public comment. I have no cards. Is there anyone here from the public to speak to the board? Seeing none, let's move on to the next item.
Okay. Acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, item number 6, adopt amendments to the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District Consolidated Ordinance for Sewer Rate and Impact Fee Increases.
This item was presented at the last meeting. We did not have 12 directors to vote on it, so we have 12 today. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing and move the item?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously.
Acting as Sacramento County Sanitation District Financing Authority and Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, item number 7 is budget workshop for fiscal year 2017-18.
As Becky is coming up to start the presentation, which you may or may not want to, if you're, we'll go through the presentation. I'll just summarize what we have in terms of the budget. For the regional SAN, the operating budget is about 2% over the last year budget. The purpose of increase is there's a 2% COLA that's scheduled to go into effect on July 1st for all staff. A bulk of the increase is geared towards that. And there's also filling a few positions to maintain the existing assets that constitutes the 2% increase. There are no staff position increases for total regional SAN. As a matter of fact, we have removed 2 positions from regional SAN and moved it over to Sacramento Area Sewer District operations. On the capital side, there's a $37 million increase in capital budget from the last year. Much of it is geared towards the Echo Water project. And with that, these are kind of highlights of it, and Becky will start the presentation.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Before we can begin, can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. My name is Becky Schaefer. I'm the Senior Administrative Analyst, Internal Services Department for the Sanitation Districts Agency. I will be presenting the budgets this morning for both Regional SAN and Sacramento Area Sewer Districts. We will begin with the budget workshop for the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District for fiscal year 2017-18. The total budget that we are recommending for fiscal year 2017-18 is approximately $126 million, excluding depreciation and amortization. Our total staffing decreased by 2 positions that were transferred to SASD, bringing our new total to 478 FTEs. Staff that support both districts and are budgeted in Regional SAN are charged to SASD when providing services to SASD. This slide represents a 5-year operating budget trend, which Ruben Robles can address should you have any questions regarding this. The salary and benefits for Regional SAN increased $2.4 million, primarily due to increases in COLAs of 2%. Notable changes include cost of living adjustments and health insurance, reflecting an increase of roughly $1.8 million. The remainder of the increase is mainly due to extra help, overtime, premium, and standby pay. Retirement and workers' comp reflect a decrease of approximately 6% from last year. Approximately $6 million in labor charges will be charged to Echo Water capital projects. Services and supplies reflect an increase of roughly $213,000. Notable changes include an increase in other professional and engineering services of $1 million. Legal fees reflect a decrease of roughly $800,000. Regional Sand's capital budget is approximately $445.9 million and includes an increase of $34 million in construction costs for the Echo Water project, funded primarily by a monthly service rate increase of $1 per single-family dwelling effective July 1st, 2017. The major capital projects are the following: the Echo Water project, the South River Pump Station Flood Protection Project, the Regional Sand Sacramento Power Authority and City Recycled Water Project, the Digester Rehabilitation Project, and the Dedicated Lined Disposal Unit 5 project. We will be happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you, Becky. Anyone have questions? Seeing none. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Would you call the next item?
Acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, your district separate matter is item number 8, wastewater service by contract and operating agreement between the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, the Sacramento Area Sewer District, and Sutter County.
Let's see, can I have a presentation for item number 8? Morning, Chair.
Morning. Morning, Mike.
Morning, members of the board. My name is Michael Meyer. I'm with Sanitation Districts Agency Policy and Planning Department. And today I'll be presenting the Sutter Point, let's see here, the service by contract and operating agreement with Sutter County. Back in 2009, your board heard the principles agreement and agreed to the principles agreement with Sutter County, which essentially had Regional Sand providing interceptor conveyance and wastewater treatment to the Sutter Point development plan. In that agreement, we agreed that there may be future storage that would be required to accommodate any build-out flow from Sutter County or Sutter Point. And recently, in our agreement development, Sutter County requested that SASD provide local services. The Sutter Point development plan essentially is going to happen in about 2 phases, or in two I guess they would be called phases. Essentially, there's the initial phase, and then there's the build-out scenario. And the initial Sutter Point development will have about 550 acres initially, ultimately 7,500 acres. ESDs would be about 3,300 ESDs initially, 34,000 ESDs would be planned for the ultimate capacity. We anticipate this being about 2.5 million gallons initially and 23 million gallons per day, ultimately peak wet weather flow. This amounts to about 12 million gallons average dry weather flow ultimately. So this kind of gives a pretty nice overview of the phases, as well as the zones and where the development's going to occur initially, as well as in the gray area you'll see the entire Sutter Point development area. You can see there's the Sutter County line there and the Sacramento County line, and then in the red where the pump stations route through the western portion of Rio Linda down to the upper northwest interceptor along Elkhorn Boulevard at West 2nd Street, which where the connection would be. So this, so SASD would be providing contract maintenance and operation services for local collection system, the operation and maintenance on the 2 pump stations, and operation and maintenance on the 37,000 feet of force main to the upper northwest interceptor. This slide here shows essentially the future pump station shown in blue, along with the two initial pump stations shown in red. The routing is likely to occur in the same fashion, and the connection point, on the upper northwest interceptor. Again, this is the future sort of scenario of the final pump station. I think they envision the pump stations to be connected to the single, primary pump station, and then again connecting to the upper northwest interceptor at West 2nd Street along Elkhorn Boulevard. So the agreement essentially has SASD receiving full rates, and SASD would not be receiving any impact fees because there's no infrastructure that SASD would be building or providing. Sutter County, Sutter Point Development would essentially provide all the infrastructure and facilities to provide the service, so they wouldn't be receiving impact fees again. Regional San would receive full rates and impact fees, there is a provision in the agreement for Sutter County to provide land for a future storage basin. We don't anticipate that. With water conservation and our recent modeling, we don't think that any sort of storage basin will be required, So the timing, Sutter County approved the wastewater services agreement by contract on March 14th, 2017. I think they're anticipating the construction start date would be about 2019, and the house is being built in about 2020. So the requested action is to approve the wastewater service by contract operating agreement between Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and the Sacramento Area Sewer District and the County of Sutter. Any questions?
We do have a couple of questions. Mr. Nottoli?
Yeah, I want to just go back just a little bit here. So in 2009, we had principles of agreement. Has that been structured in a way that now there's a full-fledged contract from the standpoint of regional sanitation? This is SASD portion, I get that, but...
So the 2009 Principles of Agreement was only between Regional San and the Sutter County. But since then, the Sutter County wanted to see if SASD would provide the O&M services for the system.
Okay, let me understand about the Principles of Agreement, though. Are they just Principles of Agreement, or is there a full-fledged agreement?
No, there was only Principles of Agreement the last time, and I'm going to ask Ruben to chime in.
And the reason I asked that, because this isn't temporary in any way, and certainly what we have before us is the the maintenance and servicing for the lines, but there's permanency to the fact that the Regional Sanitation District is going to receive that. Obviously, this board deliberated that, but I guess I want to know what the structure is that overlays this relative to, because having Principles of Agreement is one thing. What is the overarching agreement that provides for us?
Because I think you may be a little bit confused, because this action is for regional.
Not the first time that's happened.
Sorry. Regional. This is a continuation of the Principles Agreement. So this agreement is actually a three-party agreement. It's between Regional San, SASD, and Sutter County. So as far as the Principles of Agreement, this agreement will replace that with regard to Regional San.
Okay.
And then
did it say that in the staff report?
I think.
That replaces it?
I don't know if it says it replaces it, but it's going to supersede it, because that was
okay. That's what I was asking about, Lisa.
Right.
Was So this will supersede that, and this will be the final. So by taking the action that's before us today,
right,
under an SASD item. But
it's under both.
It's under both. So under both bodies, then this will be the agreement that will be.
Final agreement
this
for
is final
operation of the local sewer and the collector, and also for Regional San.
Okay. All right. Well, that helps. And I guess so my other question is relative to storage, because again, looking to the future, again, this would provide for some 34,000 ESDs. And again, we got plenty of capacity in the district, and we probably none of us will be on this board at some point in time when ultimately that build-out would occur, and I don't know what may come on subsequently. That's for somebody else to decide. But we have plant capacity, you have intercepting capacity, it's all there right now. But I think the recognition that these principles then will put in place, that basically that's a sign they buy in to do that. And I just want to be clear, because again, long range, this is going to operate for the ages. This isn't something that's going to go away. And I think we all entered it with our eyes open. But I just want to be clear. So you've kind of continue to reassess that. I heard about, water conservation and maybe less and so forth. But that storage, holding back that peak, because I remember conversations going back into the late 90s, we were talking about that, making sure that we didn't somehow compromise, from north to south, getting down to the plant, the ability to handle in district as well as out of district. So the principle is that does not bring this property into the district, though.
So there is a provision in the future. We could be annexing, and we may have an additional board member on, so Sutter County may be represented on the board. This is in the future. For now, we're only providing the service by contract. That's all. So there's no guarantee that that will happen in terms of full annexation, but that may be contemplated at some point. So just to address your capacity concerns, today we have roughly 30% or so of the capacity that's idle at the plant, and a substantially larger capacity that's available in the interceptor system, because last decade we built over $1 billion worth of interceptor capacity. Bulk of it is coming from the north side and going to the west. Can you imagine at some point at the plant we run out of capacity? Yes. Probably 40 years perhaps. And the plant has a mirror ability to double. Plant is positioned in terms of the geography-wise that we can double the capacity. Now the thing with the annexing or providing service to this area is once we assume 30,000 ESDs or whatnot, it will bring in probably between $200, $300, $400 million in capital impact fee revenues. I mean, in today's dollars, it's close to about $200 million, but because it's going to be implemented over time, in terms of whatever they will be paying, what are the fees that will be in effect at the time. And a big benefit also is the O&M charges, essentially paying the rates to operate the facilities. In the long term, this will be a benefit to regional sand. And they will be paying their share of the capital costs, both for the treatment plant as well as the interceptor system. So that's, in a sense, where we are.
Okay, just one follow-on question. So why, though, would we have a contract? Because basically this contract, I mean, maybe they could have somebody else maintain the system, but relative to the conveyance and treatment of unless somebody was going to build their own plant at some point in time, obviously that was toyed with, and that wasn't the option that was selected here. So there's a high degree of permanency to what we're doing, and so why wouldn't we take the step then, if we're serious about this, of doing the annexation and bringing it into the district, versus taking on what would be a small city at 30,000 units, and probably figure that out. That's 50,000, 60,000 people probably.
Yeah, so that I think probably the right time to address this is once we have some development going on there. So for example, you look at the West Sacramento. When West Sacramento came on board, even today we're serving West Sacramento by contract. They are not full members of the Master Interagency Agreement. We have annexed West Sacramento, but they're not signatory to the Master Interagency Agreement, which when we redo that will come on board. Right. So there will be some time to see how the development goes. Sure, it preserves some flexibility in the sense that if the Sutter Point County decides that they want to not be part of regional SAN, by then they will have paid the impact fees for what are the homes that are built. So I think the decision for that is probably not very likely at that point. So it's going to give us a little bit more time, and then look at the annexation part of it is really the only reason why we're not just fully jumping in at this point and annexing and bringing a person on the board and looking at the MIA and all of that.
Do they have other choices? I mean, I guess they've considered those, but obviously the choice that was made here between the
to come here to the regional SAN.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, to address your point, ultimately this will be addressed as a full annexation and full membership as part of the regional SAN, but this is just reserved for a decade or two down the road. Thank you.
Let me add a little bit on the capacity issue to give you comfort, because we have looked at that very diligently. So let me break it up into two components. There's the interceptor system, and in the mid-2000s we built the upper northwest interceptor system and the lower northwest interceptor system. Those pipelines are built for build-out. They have capacity probably for 100 years. And in fact, from that perspective, we need the flow. Our flows have diminished over the last 5, 6, 7 years because of water conservation and because of droughts. And in fact, it's causing us some operational problems because the flows are so low, they take so long to get to the plant that they're essentially digesting, they're cooking in the pipes. They generate H2S, and it's having some damaging effects. So from the interceptor perspective, we would welcome the flow. From the plant perspective, we have a permitted capacity of 181 MGD. That's our permitted capacity. We are running right now right around 140 million gallons of water per day average. Again, our flows have dropped 10, 15 MGD over the last 5, 6 years. So what you saw on the board or on the presentation of 12 MGD average flows when they build out, we've dropped that essentially over the last 5, 6 years. So from the plant perspective, we actually can absorb that even from historical flows. And as Prabhakar said, someday, yeah, it'll be something we have to address, but we have more than sufficient capacity for decades, for 100 years probably on the interceptor system, and for decades to come at the plant. So we welcome those flows.
You all right? Ms. Bruins.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruben. That was a good add-on explanation. My question is, it sounds like this is a 10-year agreement. Is that correct? Or does it have a
No, there's no
term?
There's no sunset date to this agreement.
So it's ongoing.
That's correct.
And so as we, over the years, vote on various rate increases, changes, and so forth, will these folks be involved or included in that, or do we have to do a separate vote on that?
Sutter County will take care of all the Prop 218 compliance issues. It's the Sutter County's responsibility to remit the essentially however many ES equivalent single-family dwelling units they have, those fees and rates to us. So they will do the notifications and whatnot that's necessary.
Okay, so I'm not sure I understand the answer. So my question is, as we vote on rate increases over the years, will these homes be included in that vote, or does that have to be handled in a different manner?
Yeah, so they will not be receiving a direct Prop 218 mailer from us. So today, we have some parts of the Placer County we serve. We serve about 1,000 homes in Roseville and the Placer County,
right,
north of the county line. It's the county and the city's responsibility to remit that money, and then also for their responsibility to do what's legally necessary.
Okay.
So they are on the hook to remit. Your board is only dealing with the annexed area, and we're notifying them when we do those things.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Serna.
Thank you. So I want to go back, Ruben, to your pretty clear statement that there's not only ample capacity, but that you welcome the additional tie-in. What about the 6,000 acres between Sutter Point and Natomas proper in the city of Sacramento? As you're well aware, there is in process a 5,700 acre master plan. It's going through an environmental review process as we speak. It's in its infancy in terms of the entitlement processing, and it's years away from ever seeing a spade of dirt turned. But with regard to what we know about Sutter Point, the fact that Sutter Point, in terms of its entitlement stance, in terms of the queue, where it lies relative to the acreage just south of it, so that it would develop first. Can you make the same statement about capacity, assuming that maybe a decade out from now we might be having this conversation about that intervening property in Sacramento County?
Yeah, so let me address that. When we came here, before we came here, we've done the modeling, which included the development of the Natomas vision as part of the model. So we can accommodate. The interceptor system has a capacity to accommodate the Natomas vision. Now, that area being part of the regional SAN and part of the SASD, SASD working with the developers constructing the local network of the infrastructure, and the regional SAN will take it, or the conveyance part of the large pipes. If there's new pipes that need to be constructed, regional SAN will do that. And we will be prepared to do it, depending on whatever their development plans are. So to address your question, yes, we will be able to serve them. we shouldn't have a problem serving them.
What about treatment capacity?
Like Ruben said, currently we have 180 million gallons, and we're roughly about 130 to 140. So our estimation today is that we can serve for probably the next 30, 40 years before we need a treatment plant expansion.
So including that.
That's correct.
Including those roughly 30,000 additional people.
Yeah, so we need to, today, you will see at the long-term financial plan next board meeting, we're absorbing roughly about 3,500 units a year, which is a very small, about a 0.5% capacity. Right. So if you look at another 40 years, you're looking at 20% capacity consumption, which still is not quite complete in terms of what we need.
Because in the heyday, we were about 3 times that, right?
That's correct. At a heyday, on a height of it, we had close to 14,000 units in 1 year in 2005. Even on a historical average, before we had the recession, we were in the 1% growth rate. Right. This is a 0.5%, but even with all the recovery, we haven't seen the new homes come in. So 30 to 40 years is not an unrealistic horizon for us to have the available capacity. Now, that doesn't take into consideration all the changes in the water conservation that's happening. Changing of the older homes into the newer fixtures and whatnot. So we believe it's substantially longer than that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, all of my questions were answered. We're bringing in a customer, not a partner at this point.
I just wanted to add one lighthearted reason why we didn't bring, we just don't have enough chairs on the board. But that's a serious concern.
Can we go to bench seating?
Getting your chair.
The chair's open for motion.
Seating.
I'll be out.
I'll move.
Mr. Warren moves. Mr. Bruin second. Second. All in favor, please
I'm
say aye.
sorry. Who was
Aye.
the first?
For SRCSD, let's,
And who made the motion?
Who made
Mr.
the-
Warren.
Mr. Warren.
yeah.
Warren.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and
For
then I
it-
need one more vote.
For SASD, I will move the motion, or the item.
District separate matters. Miscellaneous report.
One more vote, Larry.
One more vote.
Okay, one more, no, we have
The other agency.
And I don't believe,
Have to vote the same thing again?
Yes, so I moved it, and it got seconded by Patrick.
Okay, by SA?
Larry, I don't believe we're all on the same, on that, I don't think I'm on that board, SASD, I believe, and so
We're good.
maybe that
Good.
applies to others as
Why?
well.
That's why we have to do 2
Yeah,
votes.
but I'm just saying relative to the vote.
Right.
So I won't be voting on that item, but I think, I don't know if it applies to others on the board as well, so.
Do we have a motion and a second?
Yes, I move it.
By legal members of the
Yes.
board? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Your next item is item number 9, miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
I just wanted to mention that as we're meeting here, there's a public event, that joint event between the City of Sacramento and Regional San and the California Product Stewardship Council happening to promote the Drug Take Back Day and the Regional San's partnership. There's 2 new bins that are going to be put in place today at the Freeport Boulevard Public Safety Center. And then also the William J. Kinney Police Facility that's in the City of Sacramento. So Chief Brian Liu is making some comments to the media today. And we've been supporting this for the last 3 or 4 years. We will continue to. This is a part of Regional San being a steward of the environment and also being a partner of the community to essentially put these bins out in the community and have people the place to bring back the drugs. And we all know how epidemic the drugs are in terms of if there's every way we can bring those back to a safe place. And it also helps Regional San because we don't want them to be disposed of in the sewers. And ultimately having to, that water, because treatment plant is not capable of removing much of those drugs and then ultimately it ends up in the river. So there's a joint.
Yeah, just Prabhakar on that, we have a couple locations that are fairly central to population centers, one being obviously our district offices, and you obviously have security there. Again, I don't know what is required relative to certain types of drugs and their classifications, but it would seem to me that when I think about where we are on Bradshaw Road, that that might be a location where the district could host, assuming we have proper security oversight and whatever goes into that. I also think about regional plant. Again, you probably don't come in and out of there without obviously checking in, but maybe to look at where, in addition to being a partner and sponsoring, where assuming we have proper oversight and can comport with that without a lot of cost, why wouldn't we make those locations available as well?
I'll ask staff to look into those 2 locations.
Okay, thanks.
That's all I have.
And those bins are outside of the facility?
No, they're behind a security area because we don't want people to be vandalizing them. So in this case, there's a police facilities where there people can bring.
Okay.
Can I just add, Mr. Chair? Can I just add to include Yolo County, the landfill as well, because I know they've been very active in collecting prescription medications as well, and they've actually diverted thousands of pounds just in the last year or so. It's a good partner to have. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, we partner on this effort with the California Product Stewardship Council and with the cities and so forth.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Let's call the next item.
Your last item, acting as Sacramento County Sanitation District's Financing Authority and Sacramento Area Sewer District's Budget Workshop for fiscal year 2017-18.
So again, before Becky starts, I'll just highlight, for the SASD, the increase is 1.3% from the last year budget. Again, the 2% COLAs are applicable for SASD as well. There are 2 new positions that are added. These are the positions that were moved from regional SAN to SASD side, again, to increase the maintenance, to address some of the lower lateral and maintenance activities that we need to do. We have increased the capital budget by $4 million, and that's to do projects and the cleanups and so forth. Pretty straightforward budget.
I'm out of here.
Hello again, Ms. Schaefer.
I was just going to say, I'm still Becky Schaefer. Good morning once again, Chair and members of the board. I will now be presenting the budget for the Sacramento Area Sewer District. The total budget that we are recommending for fiscal year 2017-18 is approximately $93 million, excluding depreciation and amortization. Our total staffing increased by 2 positions that were transferred from Regional SAN to SASD, bringing the count to 298 FTEs. Staff that support both districts are budgeted in Regional SAN and are charged to SASD when providing services to SASD. For the 7th straight year, we will have no rate increases. This is a 5-year operating trend, which Rosemary Clark can address should you have any questions. The salary and benefits for SASD increased roughly $671,000, primarily due to increases in COLAs of 2%. Notable changes include a cost of living adjustment and health insurance reflecting an increase of roughly $759,000. The remainder of the increase is mainly due to extra help, overtime, premium, and standby pay. Retirement and workers' comp reflect a decrease of $229,000.
How'd we do that?
The retirement decrease? Because the employees began picking up more.
New contract.
That's correct.
Okay.
Our share increased. Services and supplies reflect a net increase of approximately $74,000. Notable changes include an increase in construction, services, and supplies of approximately $2.3 million and a decrease in plumbing maintenance services of roughly $1.7 million. Other professional and engineering services decreased $937,000. The capital budget, excluding depreciation and amortization, is roughly $29 million. Debt service for SASD bonds remained unchanged at approximately $10.5 million. The major capital projects are the lower lateral replacement projects, the pump station force main rehabilitation project, the Mission Avenue sewer replacement project, and the main line lining root mitigation project 5. We'll be happy to address any additional questions you may have.
Mr. Nottoli.
Yeah, very quickly, on our customer care portion of this, it's a related item. I know I had the good fortune of joining our colleague, Director Morin, at the Student Educational Video Awards program last week. And after that, I had a chance to call Prabhakar and talk with him. There were some excellent environmental stewardship videos. We saw some of the finalists and some of the awardees, and again, ages K through 12. And there actually was one of the award winners had a short video on fat oils and greases. There were some other ones on environmental stewardship relating to water and air and so forth. And I think it's an opportunity to, again, it's only budget related in the sense that we have a whole budget unit that oversees a variety of customer care things with the district. But I think it's an opportunity to maybe partner with some of our schools. The youngsters, it's just like the Academy Awards. It's a wonderful evening, and Andy's been doing it for a number of years, participating in the program and the awards. But I raise it because, again, I think we have some up-and-coming engineers, some up-and-coming, obviously, folks that will be in the video and film production industry. And but very excited, and schools throughout the entirety of the county, north, south, east, and west. And I just think it's an opportunity for us to partner. I know Prabhakar certainly took note of it when I spoke with him, but I just wanted to raise it because I don't know if it has any budgetary impact, but it certainly I wanted to call it out this morning because I was very, very impressed, and I don't know, Andy may want to add to it too, because again, we saw some.
So the video you saw, we are aware, and actually we go through internally, do the selections in terms of the top videos and so forth. They're posted, by the way, on our YouTube.
They're posted already on YouTube?
Yeah. And what we're going to be...
I know about that.
I didn't know about it either, so I ended up going back and talking to staff. What we're going to be doing is looking at opportunity to sponsor, to kind of, sort of a scholarship kind of things, where, number one, it promotes our programs at the school level, which is very important, because we want them to know, as they're leaving the schools, what to do and what not to do related to sewers, because oftentimes they have absolutely no clue where the water goes. And I found that out firsthand with the kids that I talked to. So we're looking for avenues where we can make that impact. And also something for them to aspire to in terms of compete for and whatnot. So that's a small type of scholarships we'll look at.
Okay, is there an opportunity to partner too with the Sacramento Educational Consortium, Cable Consortium, and I see Rosemary, and I know Claudia's probably done some work with them, and so there's some real opportunities, and maybe too even on our public service channels to have some of these run on a regular basis that continue to message out, in addition to obviously the various other forms of media that's out there. So, okay, thanks. Bye.
Any other questions on the workshop? Seeing none, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Any communications received?
Right. Item 11 needs no action.
Any directors with questions or concerns or comments? Seeing none, this meeting's adjourned. Do we have a summary?